Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into this e-commerce and digital marketing guide?
Absolutely. Should be a good one. Lots to unpack.
It really does seem like it, yeah. Navigating the world of e-commerce and digital marketing, right? That's what we're looking at today.
That's the one.
So many interesting topics, from
Yeah.
those huge online marketplaces and SEO to the future of shopping with AI and AR.
It is a crazy world out there, and it changes so fast. What's interesting to me is how e-commerce, it's not just buying and selling online anymore.
Yeah.
It's about building a brand,
Mhm.
shaping the entire experience people have in the digital world.
I see, yeah. Okay, so let's get right into it then. I know from your notes you've already had some experience with Etsy, but I
Yeah.
figure there's always more to learn, right?
Always, always.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the big picture for a sec. E-commerce has just exploded, right? It's
Uh,
global now,
yeah.
driven by technology and well, how consumer behavior is changing.
Makes sense.
Even the platforms are changing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got giants like Amazon and Alibaba on one side,
Right.
and then platforms like Shopify, which I know you're interested in,
Yeah.
that are helping entrepreneurs get started.
Yeah, exactly. And with all these platforms, making sure transactions are secure, that's got to be super important. Thinking about your experience with Etsy, how do you think those payment gateways are changing, evolving?
Hmm, that's interesting. The guide actually talks about this shift towards more integrated and seamless payment, you know?
Oh, okay.
So instead of going to a separate gateway, the platform just handles the payment right there at checkout.
Oh, I see.
Much better user experience, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something to think about as your own business grows, too.
That makes a lot of sense, for sure. A smooth checkout is key. Now, I notice in your notes you're also focused on logistics and supply chain stuff.
Yeah, big time. The guide actually highlights that as being crucial for customers being happy.
I can see why.
It's not just about speed anymore either. People want transparency, sustainability.
Right.
It even mentions how companies like DHL are adding carbon neutral shipping options. Is that something you've considered?
That's a really good point. It does
Yeah.
seem to fit in with this whole eco-conscious consumer thing that's growing.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And since we're talking consumer trends, we got to mention user experience,
Yeah.
UX, as they call it.
Right.
Mobile optimization, it's not optional anymore. It's everything.
True.
Most e-commerce traffic comes from smartphones. That's what the guide says. So mobile-first design is key.
That's interesting because the guide also mentions that it's not just about responsive design, right?
Wow.
It's also about stuff like geolocation, push notifications, things that make the whole shopping experience better.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's all about creating an experience that fits mobile perfectly. One that, anticipates what the customer needs and makes it personal.
Wow. Okay. So we've got a good foundation on the e-commerce side of things now. But what about what drives it all? Digital marketing. Your notes mention you're already using some of the key strategies. What's caught your eye lately?
Well, I'm really interested in getting more organic reach, especially with growing your handmade jewelry business like you want to.
Yeah.
And the guide suggested looking into long-tail keywords for SEO.
Long tail keywords. I'm not sure I'm familiar with that. Can you tell me more?
Sure. Long-tail keywords, they're longer and more specific phrases that people use when searching. They target niche searches.
Okay.
So instead of just coffee beans, you might target something like ethically sourced organic coffee beans for espresso.
Oh, okay. Much more specific.
Yeah, and the guide argues that by being specific, you attract higher quality traffic, people who are more likely to buy.
I see, I see. So it's about getting the right people, not just a ton of traffic.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about reaching a wider audience, people who aren't using those specific search terms?
Well, then we get into paid advertising, specifically PPC or pay-per-click.
Right, right.
The guide highlights how effective platforms like Google Ads and Facebook Ads are at reaching specific groups of people based on their interests and behavior and all that.
It's like those ads that just seem to know what you're thinking. I've used Google Ads a little bit, but Facebook ads, I'm not so sure. Is there anything in the guide that addresses, I guess, concerns about using them?
It actually talks about a pretty common concern, data privacy. Facebook ads, they rely a lot on user data, and the guide stresses being transparent and ethical about it. Be upfront about how you're using that data and give people a way to opt out.
That's good to hear. Transparency is definitely important. And this seems like a natural transition into the next topic, content marketing. I'm really interested in how the guide suggests using content to build trust and engagement, especially nowadays when there's so much information out there already.
Totally. It all comes down to authenticity,
Yeah.
providing real value. The guide, it really stresses that. It's not about just churning out content for the sake of it.
Right.
It's got to be content that educates or entertains or even like solves a problem for your target audience.
Okay, I see.
Think blog posts, videos, infographics, anything that really connects with people and positions you as an expert in your area.
So it's about building relationships through good content. I'm noticing a pattern here. It seems like it's all about genuine connection and engagement, whether it's SEO or ads or this content marketing.
You got it. And that brings us perfectly to social media marketing.
Yeah.
Talk about engagement, right?
Yeah.
The guide really highlights how powerful it is for building a community around your brand.
It is, and it's always changing, too. What stood out to you in the guide about using social media well?
It really emphasizes knowing the ins and outs of each platform. They're all different,
Oh, for sure.
Instagram is great for visuals and telling your brand story. Well, TikTok, it's all about those short videos. The guide suggests trying different things like stories, reels, live videos, just to see what your audience likes best.
That makes sense. Each platform has its own, personality almost. I've been trying out those Instagram reels, but I'm still not sure how to best show off my products there. Any tips from the guide?
It actually suggests using content that your users create,
Oh, okay.
Encourage your customers to share their experiences with your products and then feature those on your page.
Interesting.
It's authentic, it shows social proof, and it can help you reach more people.
That's a really smart strategy, using the power of the community, kind of like word of mouth, but online.
Exactly. And since we're talking about building community, we can't forget email marketing. It's still super powerful for growing those relationships and getting people to buy.
I know some people think email is, old-fashioned now, but I still find it so effective, especially if you personalize those campaigns.
Me too.
Yeah.
What's the guide's take on email marketing?
Oh, that's a good question.
It suggests using segmentation. So you're sending very targeted messages.
Yeah.
You can group subscribers based on what they've bought, their interests, how much they engage with your emails, that kind of thing. And then tailor your emails to each group.
I see.
It also talks about how important automation is to make those email campaigns easier to manage.
Yeah, automation is a lifesaver. I've been using MailChimp, and I gotta say, I'm impressed with the automation features it has.
It's a great tool. And the guide even mentions how it integrates with e-commerce platforms, so you can trigger specific emails based on, say, someone abandoning their cart.
Oh, right. Speaking of abandoned carts, that's something I've been struggling with. What kind of strategies does the guide recommend for tackling that?
It suggests kind of a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First, make sure your checkout process is super smooth. As few steps as possible, multiple ways to pay, clear instructions, all that good stuff.
Right.
Then, think about using those exit intent pop-ups, the ones that offer a discount or free shipping to get people to finish their purchase.
Ah, I see.
And finally, use those abandoned cart emails we just talked about.
So it's a mix of optimizing the experience and giving people a little nudge.
Exactly. It's about removing obstacles and offering incentives that are actually compelling. And you know what else is crucial? Data analytics. Got to understand why people are abandoning carts so you can tweak your strategy.
Data, the fuel for the digital marketing engine.
You got it. The guide really drives home how important it is to use those analytics platforms like Google Analytics, to track all the important stuff, website traffic, conversion rates, how customers behave, and then use all that information to make smart decisions.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. SEO, paid ads, content marketing, even email automation. It is a lot, but it's clear that every piece has its role to play in making an e-commerce business successful.
It's a whole ecosystem, a very dynamic one. The key is finding that right mix of strategies that work for your goals and your audience. But remember, the digital world isn't always easy. There are challenges, and the guide offers some really useful advice on how to handle those hurdles.
Let's talk about those challenges then. One that pops into my mind immediately is just how competitive the online marketplace is. It's crowded out there. How does the guide suggest standing out in such a busy space?
It comes down to differentiation.
Yeah.
What makes your brand stand out? What value do you offer that nobody else does? The guide says to really focus on building a strong brand identity, one that truly resonates with your target audience.
And that goes back to that idea of authenticity and connection we talked about earlier, right?
Bingo. It's about creating a brand story that people believe in, something that's more than just selling products. The guide also suggests looking into niche markets, specializing in a particular area.
I see. Focusing on a niche lets you become the expert in that area and target a very specific group of customers.
Exactly. And don't underestimate good old-fashioned customer service. The guide really stresses how important it is to make every interaction a positive one.
Yeah, that's more important than ever online, I think. Reviews and social media, they can really make or break a business.
Totally agree. And another challenge businesses need to address is cybersecurity. With online transactions and data breaches becoming more common, what does the guide recommend for protecting all that sensitive information?
That's a really important concern. I'm very curious to hear what the guide has to say about minimizing those risks.
It suggests a multi-layered approach.
Yeah.
Implement those strong security measures, things like SSL encryption and firewalls, to protect data while it's being transmitted and prevent people from getting in where they shouldn't. It also talks about regular security audits to find and fix any weaknesses.
So it's about being proactive and always checking your security protocols.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technology either. The guide emphasizes teaching employees about cybersecurity best practices.
Right, because human error, that can be the weakest link sometimes.
Sadly, yeah. And before we move on, let's go back to that cart abandonment issue for a sec. We touched on some solutions earlier, but what's the main takeaway from the guide on how to fix it?
That's a good question.
It's all about understanding why people abandon their carts. Figure out the root cause. Sometimes it's a simple fix, like the checkout process being too complicated or unexpected shipping costs. Other times it's about building trust, or maybe the customer just changed their mind.
Right.
The guide recommends using data analytics, that comes up again, to figure out the specific reasons people are leaving, and then tailoring your solutions to address those reasons.
It's like being a detective almost, you know? Analyze the clues and then optimize the whole customer journey.
You got it. And it really highlights how interconnected all these things are. The user experience, your marketing, analyzing data, they all play a part in driving success in e-commerce.
It's amazing how it all fits together, from building a secure and user-friendly platform to crafting those marketing campaigns and then using data to make it all better.
It really is. And looking ahead, the guide points out some pretty exciting advancements that are going to, reshape the whole e-commerce scene.
Ooh, the future. I love thinking about how technology changes shopping. What about the future of e-commerce gets you excited?
One of the biggest game changers is artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah, AI.
It's already being used for things like personalized recommendations, and automating customer service. But the guide thinks AI is going to have an even bigger impact in the years to come.
AI seems to be, everywhere these days. But how will it change e-commerce specifically? What does the guide say?
Well, it talks about these AI-powered virtual shopping assistants. They'll basically guide customers through their whole shopping journey, giving them personalized advice, product suggestions, all based on their preferences and past behavior.
Wow. So, imagine a virtual stylist who knows your style better than you do.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It would be like having a personal shopper right there in your pocket. I could see how that would make online shopping even more convenient and enjoyable.
And it's not just about convenience. The guide says AI will also be used for things like optimizing pricing strategies, managing inventory, even predicting future trends. It'll give businesses a real edge.
AI sounds like a total game changer for everyone involved, really, consumers and businesses. What other trends are coming up?
I'm super intrigued by augmented reality, AR. I've seen some brands trying those virtual try-on features, but the guide makes it sound like that's just the beginning. Oh yeah, AR has so much potential to create truly immersive shopping experiences. Imagine being able to see how a new piece of furniture would look in your living room, just using your phone, or virtually trying on clothes and accessories without leaving your house.
It's like bringing the store to you, but even more interactive and engaging. Does the guide mention any examples of how brands are using AR?
Yeah, it talks about IKEA's app, which lets you place virtual furniture in your home so you can see how it looks and fits, and Sephora's virtual artist app, which lets you try on different makeup shades and looks virtually.
Those are great examples. I can definitely see how AR could help people feel more confident about their purchases.
For sure. And we can't forget about voice commerce. The guide thinks that voice assistants, like Alexa and Google Assistant, are going to be a much bigger part of how people shop online.
I use voice search all the time, like for finding info or setting reminders, but I haven't really used it for shopping yet. How does the guide see voice commerce changing things?
Well, it paints this picture of a future where you can just tell your voice assistant what you need, and it handles the whole buying process, finding deals, placing the order, the whole 9 yards.
No way. That's mind-blowing. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's becoming a reality.
I know, right? And the guide emphasizes that businesses need to optimize for voice search. Use natural language, focus on those long-tail keywords, and make sure their product info is accurate and easy for voice assistants to understand.
So we've got AI, AR, and voice commerce shaping the future of e-commerce. Anything else we should be keeping an eye on?
The guide also mentions blockchain technology. It talks about how blockchain could really boost transparency and security in online transactions.
I always associate blockchain with cryptocurrencies, but how does it apply to e-commerce?
It could be used to create these super secure and transparent supply chains, tracking where products come from, verifying authenticity, preventing counterfeits.
Okay.
It could also streamline payments and lower transaction fees.
Blockchain sounds like it has the potential to completely change the way we buy and sell online, building trust and accountability every step of the way.
Exactly. It's definitely a technology to watch.
Well, after this deep dive into e-commerce and digital marketing, I'm feeling a mix of excitement and, honestly, a little overwhelmed by all the possibilities.
It is a lot. It's a constantly evolving world,
Mm,
but I think this guide has given us a great framework for navigating it all.
for sure. It highlighted how important it is to build a strong brand, create a smooth customer experience, really harness the power of digital marketing, stay ahead of those trends, and use data to guide every decision.
And as we wrap up, I think the most important thing to remember is to keep learning and adapting.
That's such a good point. The digital world is always changing. If you're willing to embrace those new technologies, try different things, and stay curious, you'll thrive in this exciting environment.
So as you continue on your e-commerce journey, remember to stay informed, stay engaged, and stay ahead of the curve.
And most importantly, never stop learning and exploring. Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive, everyone. We hope you found this exploration as insightful and inspiring as we did. Until next time, happy exploring.